Great. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Okay, so welcome to Astro Cafe. I guess is this the very last one of the,
Nope,
nope,
it's the
no.
third to last.
Oh, okay, third to last. I know, I guess I'm just missing the next few maybe. All right. Well, welcome to Astro Cafe, May the 5th. My name is Kirsten Pedersen. I'm going to be hosting Astro Cafe tonight. And just before I go around to confirm the agenda, I am wondering if there is anyone either in person or online that is newly joining our Astro Cafe. Uh, right, I see one hand. Moira. I hope I'm saying that right, Moira. Are you comfortable saying hi and introducing yourself? Oh, you're muted, Moira.
Sometimes you can hit the space bar.
Yeah, that'll work.
Can you hit the space bar, Moira? Oh, there you go.
There I am. This is why I don't do stuff on Zoom. Yes, I'm Moira. I joined, I guess, about a month ago, but I haven't got to the meetings. I've looked at all the material I've been sent, and I am totally daunted by all that information. Anyways, I'm happy to be here tonight. I like looking at the stars. I think that's probably my only qualifications here, which might be good enough.
Oh, the only one you need.
That's all I need. Oh, good.
Well, that's really great. You're very welcome, Moira, and thanks very much for joining us. And as we go along, we'll likely be talking about some of the beginner events and some of the observing events that we do. And you're more than welcome to join us. Okay, so with that, at this point, for our agenda tonight, I have International Astronomy Day as the first item. And I think there's some photos and a movie that David is going to be showing. And I think Randy may want to also just talk about the event and how it went and all that. So our first item will be talking about that and doing the report out, and then I will be doing part two of my presentation on Saturnian moons. And then Chris Gainor let me know that he wanted to be on the agenda. There's an update with respect to, I think, space news and the budget for NASA. And is there anything else? Does anybody have any items that they want to talk to in addition that we want to put on the agenda? Any announcements? Lauri, do you have
yeah.
anything? Or David?
Yeah, for me, just an announcement for the beginners SIG is actually tomorrow, but I'll talk a little bit about that.
And I want to talk at the end to beg for people to come to the Beavery and talk about it a bit.
Bill? Lauri, do you have anything?
I might just bring up a couple of things about the FGAO, but that's all. Thanks.
All right. And then if there's nothing else, and then after that, we'll sort of see how the time is going, and then Randy has an item potentially around Gaia. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. So with that, International Astronomy Day. I don't know, David or Randy, take it away. Whoever wants to go first.
David,
Well, mine's just, well, okay, not just. A big thank you to Wyman for covering the event, because this thing wouldn't exist without his photos. And you know, going over them, being a longtime photographer, they are actually pretty amazing. So thumbs up to you, Wyman, for this. Um, so I'm just gonna, it's got some music to it, so I hope I remember to hit the sound option. So just a second here.
sound.
So,
Wow.
I I'm just gonna switch something over. Just trying to get this here. How do you want me to do this, Wyman? Should I just play it, Wyman? Okay, I guess I will. Now that was a big surprise, Wyman.
Yeah, so I got those photographs. Might as well make the promotional thing for next year. So there you have it.
Excellent.
Welcome.
What a wonderful surprise.
Good.
The music was just
I know it's epic.
speechless.
I tried to be a little bit more low key, you know?
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, great. Anything
Okay,
else?
but
Yeah. Okay.
May 18, 2026.
May 18th?
Returning date, yeah.
It's a different day. Yeah.
Okay, I'll change it to May 18th. No problem.
Okay, and it's the reason that I looked it up, Wyman, or everybody, is it's always on the Saturday closest to the first quarter. And so that changes by 2 weeks every year.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so
May 18th is not a Saturday.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Does the day of the week change every year? Yeah, maybe.
May 16th.
It was May 18th last year.
sorry. No.
We can go back
This
in time.
website says May 11. This one says the 18th, but this one says May 11th.
Those are both Mondays.
Yeah. So we can have the 9 or the 16th.
Wow.
You've got lots of time to change it, Wyman.
Okay.
We're going to have to get this right, but it would not be the second because
No, the
you do
9th.
have to. You do have to.
That's the only thing.
That would be a full moon.
Yeah.
Probably. No, it would be. I don't know. It changes 2 weeks every year.
So it should be 16th probably.
Okay.
Properly. Okay. Good.
We'll confirm.
We have to confirm. Thank you for being careful. There we go.
No problem.
But Wyman,
So
while we
I
have
just
you on
put-
screen, you really did a great portrait. You
Oh,
caught
cool.
everybody,
Yeah.
and it's just a beautiful thing. And I want to say thank you to everybody who participated. It was a great community effort. I counted, there was usually about 10, 12 people outside, about 40 people in the talks. And when I walked around the main hall, it was 60, 65. I'm going to do a hairy eyeball that we were about 600 people total. And then another, 200 in the evening? I wasn't there. Lauri?
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, full,
It was
completely full.
so we're talking a good 800 or 900 people. got to have the experience because of the effort of our community. So kudos to everybody. It's a wonderful thing to see us all come together, and the other clubs and institutions, the school clubs were there. The kids were super. I was really impressed.
So I just put into the chat the YouTube link to the Canada-wide Star Party. That we are at around 3 hours and 41 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did it go?
Well, it was kind of wild and crazy. We just got in like literally just a few minutes beforehand. Thank you to Kevin Bertels, who he said, "Can I help?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Hold my phone and tell and come around with me as I chat to people." So it was fun. And at the end, I actually went overtime a little bit because we had to go from the dome through it. And at the end, I said, "Is that it? Kareem, can we have any more?" And he says, "Sure, but you're minus 2 minutes now, so you better stop." So we did. No, it was great. It was fine. It was just kind of a wild whirlwind tour of outside and in the 16, and just thanks to everybody who was there, who kind of, when I came upon them and said, "Hi, wave, you're on camera." So the best was in the planetarium, and I opened up the planetarium curtain and said, "Hi, you're all on YouTube right now. Say hi." And everybody went, "Hi." And it was really fun. Oh, they're all in the dark, but that's okay. That's fine. That was the whole idea. So thanks to everybody. Oh my gosh, you guys just pulled everything together. Just not to I can't really pull out anybody, because every single person that was there did their job and did what they needed to do, and it just was fantastic. Thanks everybody. Oh, and I was just going to say, sorry, I had my hand up because I can find out, Randy, from the RASC National, which day it will be next year. So
Okay.
we'll find that out. Okay.
All right. Anything else on International Astronomy Day? No, I'll just echo what a wonderful day it was, and thanks to everybody, and thank you, Wyman, for just taking all those amazing photographs, and of course the movie. So that's really great. Okay, so with that, I will share my screen, and okay, and then I'm going to go into PowerPoint. Okay. All right. Can everybody hear me and see okay?
Yes.
Okay. And actually, just one thing. I want to make sure that I'm sharing audio, but if it doesn't, there's a little movie at the end, but hopefully the music will play, but we'll see. Okay, so just a reminder that previous to this, a few weeks ago, about a month ago, I gave a presentation, part one, where I talked about Saturn and gave a review about Saturn and the planet itself, as well as an overview of the Saturnian system, and that was to enable a discussion about the recent discovery of 128 new moons by a team of researchers. One member of that team, Dr. Gladstone from UBC, a Canadian who was involved in that discovery. So now we are up to a total of 274 moons in the Saturnian system. So it's a pretty amazing number. The majority of those moons, however, are very tiny and very small, and not the larger kind of circular spherical shape as we know. There needs to be, I think it's about, I don't know what the critical mass is, maybe about 300 kilometers, 250 or 300 kilometers, where an object has to be that size in terms of radius before it becomes spherical. So with that, what I'm going to do in part two is I'm going to talk about the spacecraft that have traveled to Saturn. There's been 4 of them in total, as well as some of the highlights of the amazing moons, and then a little bit about the future. So the spacecraft that have gone to Saturn, the Saturnian system, the first one was actually Pioneer 11. In September of 1979, it did a flyby of both Jupiter and Saturn, and it got close to Saturn. It got about 21,000 kilometers distant, which for 1979 is pretty close. And it actually took the very first pictures of Saturn from as an I guess as a spacecraft, where it took 440 images. And then Voyager 1 flew by Saturn in November of 1980, and Voyager 2 flew by Saturn in August of 1981. But of course, everybody knows about Cassini. Now, Cassini is the Cassini-Huygens, and they're actually different components. Huygens was a lander that actually landed on the very large moon Titan, and it traveled with Cassini until it separated from the probe on December in December of 2004. But the Cassini mission was actually originally scheduled for 4 years, from June 2004 to May 2008. But it actually extended for another 2 years until September of 2010, and then yet again, a final time, it lasted another 7 years until 2017. So it was an incredibly successful orbiter in that it lasted so much longer than its original time frame. And the Huygens lander, when it landed on Titan in January of 2005, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but it actually provided 90 minutes worth of data and photographs to Earth from the surface of Titan for about 90 minutes using Cassini as a relay. And that was the first landing ever accomplished in the outer solar system at that time, and on a moon other than Earth's moon. So the first moon I'm going to talk about is a moon called Enceladus. And there's 3 moons I'm going to talk about, but Enceladus is one of the most interesting. It's very small. It's only about 500 kilometers across, but it's the most reflective object in the solar system, and there's a reason for that. And you can see in the picture on the slide, it's an illustration taken from a movie called the Cassini Grand Finale, which has an illustration of the probe, the Cassini probe, the orbiter, flying through what's known as the plumes of Enceladus in October 2015. And what was incredible was these plumes, when Cassini found them and photographed them, astronomers and NASA were absolutely astonished, because they suspected, and it was absolutely proven later when the Cassini probe, and you can see it in those plumes. it flew through the plumes and it took samples and it got really close to the surface. I think within about 50 to 100 or 100 kilometers of the surface of Enceladus. And in the samples, it was verified that it's salt water, well, water vapor, salt water vapor and ice are what the plumes are made out of. But in addition, within those plumes of saltwater vapor and ice is a type of silica, an organic compound that can only be produced where liquid water and rock interact at temperatures above 90 degrees Celsius. So scientists now are very confident. It's not 100%. They don't, of course, won't know until we actually know and land and can verify it. But they suspect very strongly that there are likely hydrothermal vents deep beneath the surface of Enceladus, very similar to those that are on the Earth's ocean floor, where many scientists believe that life in its most basic of forms as one-celled organic life forms started here on Earth. So this is very exciting. Enceladus being this very special place that essentially has all the ingredients for life now. So vents or no vents, whether they're there or not, this is an extremely promising place. And the main reason why the salt water under the thick ice crust of the moon is warm is due to it's tidal heating. It's the pressure, again, the moon, it kind of it gets squeezed and stretched, squeezed and stretched, squeezed and stretched continuously between the planet Saturn and one of the other moons, Dione. And this effect kind of heats it internally sufficiently to give it this warmth. That's where the heat comes from, unlike a place like Earth, where we get it from the sun. And this is a beautiful picture of what's known as the tiger stripes, which are about 100 kilometers long, but it's out of these crevices in the crust of the ice on this tiny little ice moon that these amazing saltwater plumes come out. Another moon I'm just going to talk briefly about that doesn't really get a lot of attention is a moon called Mimas, and it's been nicknamed the Death Star moon because it's got this very interesting little crater formation on it, and it was thought to be an old dead world with really nothing very remarkable about it. But what's interesting is similar to Enceladus, it's smaller. Not it's actually so small that it doesn't even meet that criteria I was talking about to be spherical. It's more ovoid. But they believe that Mimas also has potentially an ocean underneath the surface of it. So it's yet another one of these interesting subsurface ocean moons, and there's a number of them that keep getting discovered, like around Jupiter. In addition to Europa, for example, now it's believed that Ganymede has an ocean as well. So it's just very interesting seeing this feature on these moons. So one of the moons I'm going to talk about now at some length is Titan. And it's my favorite moon. Oh, I'm just going to go back. Yeah, the moon Titan, it's larger than Mercury. And sorry, I'm just seeing something on my screen. Uh, a little red artifact. I'm not sure if anybody else is seeing that, but
Yeah, we do, and it says Gary did it.
Oh, Gary's been caught.
But
oh,
how
okay.
do it? Does
Okay,
anybody
that's
On the whiteboard, I think, but I don't
that's
know.
great. Gary's whiteboarding my slides. That's great. Okay. So Titan, this is a really these pictures are these were taken by Cassini. And what's interesting, I really liked I guess the diversity of what's shown here. The image on the left is kind of I guess, a standard picture that was taken with the spacecraft, the Cassini probe's radar. But the one on the right was taken with an infrared mapping spectrometer on the craft. And what's really cool about it is you can see actual features on the surface of the moon. So what you can see here is all of the rivers and the lakes that exist on the surface of Titan. And it's great because being able to see these features through its extremely thick, dense nitrogen atmosphere is no small feat. One of the other really unique features of Titan is this extremely thick nitrogen atmosphere, which simply doesn't exist on any other moon in the solar system. In fact, the pressure on the surface of the moon is such that a human would be able to survive quite comfortably standing on the surface of Titan without a spacesuit or a pressure suit. That's how thick and hospitable the atmosphere and the surface of Titan actually would be. Now, of course, we'd still need an oxygen mask and we'd have to be protected from the cold. It's very cold there. It's about 179 degrees below Celsius on the surface of Titan. But the gravity is also similar to Earth's. A little bit more similar to Earth's moon. The rain would fall more slowly, for example, than it would on Earth. And it does rain on Titan. What is really interesting about Titan is it has an Earth-like cycle of liquids. One of the things that was photographed when the Huygens lander landed on the surface of Titan back in 2005 and sent its 90 minutes worth of data back to Earth was that we got these pictures as the Huygens lander was kind of floating down through the atmosphere of Titan. It took pictures from above of seas and rivers, and it actually landed in what we believe is a dry riverbed, and where at some point liquid was running through it. Now, what's interesting, of course, about Titan, given its almost 200 degrees below Celsius, is it's not liquid water that is this liquid cycle. It is methane and ethane. So there's seas that are hundreds of feet deep and hundreds of kilometers wide that are full of liquid methane and ethane. And of course, in its liquid form at those temperatures, it's a very stable, it's a very stable substance. So similar to the water cycle here on Earth, this liquid methane and ethane. It rains, it storms, it creates floods, fills these rivers and oceans, and it's just a fascinating world. And unlike Earth, where we have mountains and soil of earth and other types of substances, most of what's on Titan in the form of mountains is frozen water ice. So it's filled with features of frozen water ice and liquid methane, and there is also now very likely a warm saltwater ocean under that thick water ice crust, potentially covering the entire moon. So this is an extremely interesting place. And this is an artist's conception of one of the lakes on the moon, where it shows the raised rims and features. And this, I think they called this particular lake Winnipeg Lacus.
That's because the temperature is similar to Winnipeg.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is interesting. So there's a planned, and my understanding, I checked again today. I know Chris is going to be giving us an update about the budget of NASA, but there is now what appears to be a confirmed mission to Titan that is now on NASA's books. I guess it's in April. The last update I was able to find is called Dragonfly. And Dragonfly passed its critical design review on April of 2005. So it's a $3.35 billion mission to Titan. Its planned launch is 2028, and it would be arriving at Titan around 2034. And what's really cool, and you can see the conception in the image, is it's the first rotorcraft designed for space exploration on another planet. So now that it's passed its critical design review, the mission it's now going to be proceeding to constructing the actual rotorcraft itself. So the plan is apparently that around July 2028, Dragonfly will be put on a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket, and it'll be launched out of NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So that's going to be really interesting. And the mission is its primary mission, once it reaches Titan, will be to investigate prebiotic chemical processes and complex organic compounds that are considered the building blocks of life. Yeah, so it's going to be flying around, landing, flying around, and here's another impression of Dragonfly on the surface of Titan. When it's going to just about head off, it's going to fly to its next landing spot. Okay, so I'm going to try this, see if it works.
Well, that's only half scale. Good grief.
All right. And that's it. That is part two of the Saturnian moons.
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah. All right. Any questions or anything about that?
Sorry, Kristen, this is Gary here. I have no idea how that happened. I'm watching this on
Gary, I think you're in control of that whiteboard. Maybe you can just go new and it'll all clean
I
up.
tried that. I was afraid to try anything in case I destroyed everything, but I'm watching it on a mobile phone, and all of a sudden there's this whole screen in front of me that I didn't ask for, and it just didn't go well. So my apologies.
No, that's okay. I'm just glad I'm glad it limited to a couple of little red squiggly lines. All right. Well, that is that. So I guess on that note, I wanted to kind of
Leslie has a question.
Oh, okay.
A comment. I found the 2028 launch timeframe to be quite interesting. I wonder if Elon Musk could take a ride along with that rocket. It would be highly useful.
I have a question about Dragonfly. Did they say, so they're going to launch it, then what? Do they actually release it near the Earth and it flies there, or does it go in some capsule somewhere?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Is that Chris?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, great question, Chris. What I haven't done is and I didn't actually see it on NASA's website, so I'm not sure if it's public yet. But the planned approach to Titan, I couldn't see what that's going to be. Like, it was interesting. Like the Europa Clipper, for example, like that was launched last fall. I don't know how it just did a gravity assist around Mars a couple of months ago, and now it's actually headed back to Earth, and it's going to do a gravity assist around Earth, and before it kind of slings back out towards Europa. But what the actual approach will be for Dragonfly, and whether it's going to just kind of go by itself or in some kind of little protective shell. I don't know. Like, it'll be interesting to see, but yeah, it'll be one to.
I
be
guess
really.
with the time projected to get there, there's certainly something going on, because I think they could probably get it faster than, what was that, 6 years?
No, I think
Yeah.
that's how long it takes.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if there's some gravity assist.
Oh yeah, they have to do gravity assist.
Yeah. Some quite long ones, I would
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was actually an atmosphere on Titan that would allow a drone thing to operate.
There is. It's predominantly nitrogen, which actually Earth's atmosphere is predominantly nitrogen as well. But there's no, not oxygen like us, but it's got methane and ethane in the atmosphere, as well as I think some water and stuff like that. But the nitrogen atmosphere is so thick that a human and certainly the drone, it could fly there easily. I guess what I read, it was interesting. Like, it would be the equivalent of I guess a human under 50 feet, 50, which it's a lot. I mean, I don't know if it would be that comfortable for us, but it's survivable. But I think it was the atmospheric pressure is about 60% greater than on Earth. Roughly the same pressure a person would feel swimming about 50 feet, 50, 15 meters below the surface in the ocean on Earth. So it would be noticeably different, but survivable, and certainly very easy. And I think that's why the rotorcraft idea, as opposed to like the Mars rovers and stuff, the atmosphere on Titan is significantly different and much thicker than what would be on Mars, right? So the idea of a little rotorcraft that can fly around and land and fly and, kind of have that kind of independent movement becomes possible on a place like Titan, likely unlike on Mars.
Well, we can dive much deeper than that, higher pressures than that.
Oh, cool.
So
Okay.
it's only when you go back to lower pressure that it becomes a problem.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
Go ahead.
talk about the
Let's
moon's
see,
great, but we're all focusing on Dragonfly because it's amazing. What energy source would it use? It's difficult,
Nuclear, I believe. Yeah.
but it's hard to get that power out of nuclear. Nuclear is good for long, slow drain, and to fly something, you need a lot of power in a very short period. So maybe it's charging up batteries and it'll just fly for a little bit and then you'll have to charge it. But that's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's really exciting. That this and you know, and the fact that it's appears to be a go. It's really good. Yeah. All right.
It's
Well, on
because
that,
it's going on one of Elon's rockets. So he makes money off of it. And that's why it didn't get doged. More than likely.
And we're not going to go into this aspect here.
Yeah, that's pretty
It doesn't
cynical.
matter. It's just it's not going to get cut if it's going to be a SpaceX thing.
all right. Well, the good news is that it appears to be a go, and it's going to be a really fun one to watch. Similar to the Europa Clipper. I mean, it's really cool. Like we seem to be entering a new era of space exploration in some ways. So that's it's one that seems to be focused on trying to find those building blocks of life. All right, Chris, do you want to give us an update around how things are looking at NASA?
Okay, I actually have dug up a couple of other things I thought I would entertain you with before we get to the bad news. Can I? I'm gonna pull out something from my archives here. Can anybody see this?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we don't hear it.
People from school talk about space and they knew what astronomy really is. Breakdown. Victoria celebrated its third annual International Astronomy Day last week. Day-long event showcased the work of professional and amateur astronomers. We live in an incredible universe. We tend to see things that do on Earth, but the whole universe is out there before us. It just takes a pair of eyes, perhaps with a little bit of optical aid, to see that universe. And on a clear night, literally, you can see forever. Long before humans began recording their history, we have been fascinated with the night sky. While countless stories have evolved over the ages, stars remain a mystery solved. Astronomy, in a sense, is a pure science. It's curiosity motivated. People want to know things. They want to know what kind of universe we live in. Of course, it's just absolutely fascinating and beautiful to see things that haven't been seen before or that we haven't seen before as individuals. Looking at the stars won't directly lead to a cure for cancer or a new brand of detergent, but it will make you appreciate your place in the universe. For the next few weeks, the night sky offers a rare chance to see a celestial phenomenon. The planets align themselves in a way that won't be visible again for another 40 years. The best thing to do is actually to go out at dusk in April. But when the sun sets, the first thing you should do is try to look for Mercury. That's going to be the hardest one. It's probably best to use binoculars. So as the sun sets, the bright object just near the horizon line will likely be Mercury. Then you can follow the other planets in line. The next one will be a very, very bright planet called Venus. And then it'll move on to Mars, Saturn, and then Jupiter. I'm kind of excited about it because in my many years of looking at the sky, going for half a century, I've never seen 5 planets in one sweep of the eye, and this coming week we'll be able to do that.
People have been fascinated with the sky for more years than even I can remember, a very long time. And people all over the world have been looking up to the stars. No, the problem is people aren't looking up to the stars nearly as much as they used to, even up the olden days. We need to do a little bit more, because the more that they look up and they see the stars, the more they realize how very special and precious this place that we live on is. Victoria, can see the shot TV.
Yeah.
Chris, when was that?
2002.
That's proof I used to have hair.
So, yes, I videotaped a bunch of astronomy days. I have a 4 or 5 and a few other things, and then I recently digitized a whole lot of them. Maybe I'll talk to Joe about maybe posting them up, but anyway, yes, I thought that was funny to see to see a couple of us 20 some odd years ago, and also a couple of folks who aren't with us anymore, sadly. But
yeah, I don't know if anybody noticed, but the fellow, the wizard, that's actually Brian Thompson. He lives up island.
yeah, and Dave Bennett was on that.
Yeah, Dave Bennett was there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So,
Chris, Lauri has a question.
Yes.
I was just going to say, Brian, Byron or Brian Thompson.
Brian Thompson.
Brian.
Yeah.
He would come in with his staff and his great big huge cape, and he would sit down, and all the kids would be sitting around where the back doors of the museum were on pillows, and he'd tell stories to the kids, and it was really magical. It was just absolutely wonderful. I loved that part, but he hasn't been around for, I'm thinking at least 10, 12 years at least. So not sure, but it was really fun to have him there. Yeah.
Okay. So, the main reason I'm here is to talk about the whole budget situation in the United States, affecting NASA. So on Friday, President Trump announced kind of his general budget for the government of the U.S. and for NASA, the way it's being spun is that they are revitalizing human space flight, but they don't talk about some of the other stuff. So anyway, this version of the budget, and I'll get to the fact that this is not the last word. It includes a 24% anticipated cut in NASA's budget for the fiscal year. Their fiscal year starts in October. And so the budget would go down. Right now it's $24.9 billion. It would go down to $18.8 billion. And it would include the cancellation of the Space Launch System rocket and the Orion crew capsule, which are still due to fly with our Canadian astronaut about a year from now in the Artemis 2. The NASA would continue with Artemis 2, which would go around the moon using those vehicles, and Artemis 3, which is planned to land on the moon using those vehicles, and also a Starship Elon Musk is making. But basically, that would be the end of Artemis after that moon landing in Artemis 3, which is supposed to happen in 2027. It would also cut back on the International Space Station, and it would lead to cancellation of the Gateway Space Station, which is supposed to orbit the moon. And let's see, I have another email here with some other things that are supposed to be canceled. Let's see, where is that? Just a minute here. No, that's the wrong thing. Just a moment. Okay. Mars sample return canceled. Having said that, Europe and China are also planning their own Mars sample returns. The Landsat satellite would be descoped. Climate monitoring satellites would be canceled. NASA support for STEM and education would be canceled. A week or two ago, I talked about major cutbacks in science for NASA. Those are contained here. These would mean cutbacks for Hubble and Webb, and the cancellation of the Nancy Roman Space Telescope. So that doesn't look very good. So so where do we go from here? This is not the last word because this is what the president sends to Congress. And Congress often, in fact, almost always changes that. And sometimes, this is not the first time, for example, they've attempted to cut the STEM programs at NASA or the client science ones, while the previous Trump administration tried to get rid of them, and they went through Congress. So now we have to wait and see what Congress does, and you have to remember this could go a couple of different ways. This Congress is known as being very loyal to, at least thus far this year, loyal to President Trump, which is actually rather unusual because even when the Congress and the president are the same party, Congress often makes changes in various budgets. Also, the cutbacks that are being contemplated here involve high-paying jobs and good jobs in Republican states and districts. And so a lot of Republicans in Congress, in the Senate, in the House, are going to be getting a lot of static from their constituents and their local chambers of commerce and all this sort of stuff. So we're going to have to see what happens. Another possibility is that Congress may not even pass the budget, which would not be a good thing in this case because basically that would leave a lot of scope for the president to kind of set spending priorities. Sometimes they just don't pass the budget because they can't agree or they run out of time. So anyway, this is a very nervous and difficult time for NASA, and I'm already getting a lot of emails and things from organizations I'm involved with, urging them to go and and lobby their members of Congress to make changes here. And I mean, it could affect a dragonfly, for example. But anyway, I think as time goes on, we're going to be hearing more and more about these things because, of course, you know, in the larger scheme of things, NASA isn't a very big budget item compared to a lot of other things. Excuse me, and but a lot of items such as defense and Social Security, which are the big items, they're very difficult to cut back. So that's why they go after things like NASA. So anyway, this is kind of about as bad as we could expect. The changes to the human spaceflight program, like getting rid of SLS and Artemis and all that stuff, that would be a big gift, you know, the view of a lot of people to Elon Musk. But you know, I wouldn't put it down to the point where it says, oh, this mission will fly because it's on a SpaceX rocket, and this one won't because it's not. But you know, Musk's big focus is using his starships to go to Mars. So, and I think that's kind of I think there is some truth to the criticism of that. So, I think I will. You know, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Susan here. My perspective is that there is method behind the apparent madness by decimating science and education in other areas of the American economy. They make people less knowledgeable. And I just wondered, is there a theme in terms of what they're choosing to cut at NASA? Is there a shape to that? Because I'm assuming there's some agenda, like a very specific agenda.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of agendas here. One reason why there's all these cuts along the government and even the tariffs for that matter is because you know Republicans are pretty big believers in cutting taxes. And so the idea of the tariffs, for example, is to cut taxes to Americans and make foreigners pay that.
Yeah, that's not quite what I was getting at, which is
no. Yeah, I know what you're getting at. Just
all right, okay.
And so the cutbacks at agencies like NASA, which can be relatively easily cut back, that also leads to tax cuts, and that's what's behind it. So some of this stuff, you know, like cutting the climate and cutting the education and all that, that's just that's kind of cutting what some people would call woke science and things like that.
Exactly.
But on the other side, you know, there's this interest in human space flight, and you know, the thrill of having astronauts planting, as Trump said in his inauguration speech, planting the flag on Mars, the American flag on Mars. And so, you know, it's no accident that, say, Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 are still going, because those will be, you know, will supposed be kind of prestigious and exciting.
Okay.
President Trump can phone up the astronauts when they land on the moon or go around the back.
Oh, all right.
And then focus on the goal of Mars. which uh, which will probably, well, if it happens, will almost certainly happen after President Trump has left office. But I think he would kind of hope that he would be remembered for Mars the way President Kennedy is remembered for setting the goal to the moon. So those are.
I think you can be a lot less cynical, right? I think you can be a lot less cynical about this. The affordability is an issue. People are struggling to feed themselves and heat their houses, and the country is hugely in debt. So, like a lot of these extra programs, they're a luxury that can't be afforded right now. And, if people are struggling, then the morale of having a person land on another planet is a morale boost to the country. I think it's nothing more than that. So I'm afraid if I have to choose between astronomy and feeding myself, I can tell you what I'm going to choose.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's I mean, it's, a lot of people certainly look at it that way, and I'm not going to get into an argument, but there's because there is certainly some validity to what you say.
All right, that's great. Seonaigh, do you have a question for Chris?
Well, yes. I have a question, Chris, but maybe I'll just interject something if I can't resist it. But I'm sensitive to what you say, David, and actually agree with you, to some extent. But as I understand it, these tax cuts are also going to extraordinarily rich people, just to point that out. That's what I've heard. Maybe that's not true. So I don't think it's really going to alleviate poverty, but I could be wrong. But this really goes to the heart of my question, Chris, and I'd be interested in your reflection on it. Is this indicative of a kind of anti-science turn? I know there are other indicators of it for sure in the American government, but do you feel this is also that?
Yeah, I don't want to get into an argument about where tax cuts are going. I think that's well beyond our scope. But the second thing, and again, I think that's whether it's the attitude to science. Unfortunately, I would say that a lot of people look at it that way, but not everybody does. I don't want to, and I think if I kind of delved into that, some people might see that as being a bit political and argumentative, but there's a lot of people who see things that way.
Okay. I think that's a good place to leave it, appreciating that these are very complex and often really sensitive issues. So thank you very much, Chris, for that
Now,
for that update.
I actually have another item, a happier item, I think. And some of us have been working on a film that's going to be premiering in June about the story of astronomy in Canada, and specifically the life of John Stanley Plaskett and the development of the Dominion Astrophysical Observatory, and it's going to be called the film is going to be called Northern Star. I think there's going to be an event up at the DAO in June, but it will also be on Czech. and some of the folks here will have met Nick. He was at the at our star party last August and was filming, doing some filming there, and he's also at Astronomy Day, and I've actually got him to join our center. So we might be seeing more of him even after he moves on to other projects. And I if people are interested, I have he's producing a bunch of films about the how this is being produced, and I could actually put up the first one if you're interested in it. It's about 2 minutes. Would people be interested in that?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, just a minute. Let me get this here. Okay.
And if you make sure you check that box, share sound.
Oh, did you get sound last time?
It was weak.
Okay. Let me see, just a second here. All right. And where's the share sound? Oh, there it is. I see.
Share, yeah, it should be a choice.
Okay. Oh no. To share your computer audio, please install a Zoom audio device.
Ah.
And it's asking for a password.
Oh, it's odd.
Damn these things, huh?
For the next 10 weeks, we're going to show you the making of Northern Star, the documentary on the observatory on Saturn Mountain. It all started with this book, Northern Star, by Peter Broughton. I met with Peter Broughton in Toronto, and he gave me a lot of great background information. We visited the University of Toronto, we looked at the archives, and we also found the boy's own annual that played such a big role in Plaskett's early life. And we worked together with science writer Chris Gainor to write the story of the documentary. We're going to get the rights for the NFB film. I watched it, and that's a perfect explanation of what they do. We got a proposal and a rough script, and together with our great host Bob McDonald, we created the trailer.
105 years ago, Canadian John Stanley Plaskett had a vision to reach fainter stars, and a larger telescope was needed. If Canada could build one, it would put Canada in high standing in the world of science.
That was the easy part. Now we just have to find a broadcast.
Good.
Okay. So that's the first part, and there'll be some more of these little teasers being put up, and they will be available. I'll have to maybe I think they'll be on the FDAO website, and maybe we could get, put links up to them on ours. But anyway, keep an eye out for it. This production is coming, and it's even though I'm a little biased because I'm involved, I think it's going to be really neat. So I will hand back the floor now.
That's really great, Chris. Thank you so much for sharing that about the documentary. That's going to be a real contribution and wonderfully informative about the DAO. Okay, so with that, I've got David, Bill, and Lauri. So with some announcements. So David, why don't you go first?
Okay, just a reminder that tomorrow's the beginner's SIG, and in keeping with things like learning and certificates, we actually have Carlos who's going to tell us about his his assembly of his kind of wide field images in getting the Astro Imager wide field certificate. So if you want to hear about his journey in doing that, please come and attend. You have to belong to the beginners group right now to see the link. But if you're interested, just send me a note to david@victoria.rasc.ca and I'll see what I can do about getting a link.
Great. Bill.
Okay, so I'm making an appeal. So at the end of the month, I've committed us to going to a scouting event that's out at Camp Bernard in Soup. It's on the 31st of May. We're looking at a few hours, sort of between 9:30ish to around 2 in the afternoon. We're really just doing solar telescope stuff. I have all the gear that could possibly be needed for this. I'm just looking for maybe about 4 or 5 people to join me to show 5 to 8-year-olds and their parents the sun and talk about astronomy and stuff like that. So I'm just recruiting.
What's the date, Bill?
The 31st.
31st. Okay.
Of May, which is also the day of the telescope clinic. So after I pack up there, I'll be heading home, grabbing supper, and then heading up to the DAO for repairing junk telescopes and telling people they have a fabulous little telescope. So I'm the national rep too. I think it is, whatever my email address is with the center at victoria.ca or whatever it is. And just let me know. I'll be there Wednesday night too at the meeting, so I can give you more details then. It's not a hard gig, and the kids are well behaved. They're just having fun. And actually, the theme this year is based around science. So actually, we fit the theme of the event. So far, I have one person who said they're going to be there, if that's still happening.
I'm in, Bill, too.
Cool. Yeah, I have a couple of H alpha scopes, and I've got some white light stuff, and I'll bring that new sun funnel toy that I built, and it's fun to do. They're well behaved. It's never really hard to, and it's future recruiting because the parents are young, because they just have little kids, and it's putting a spark in a kid who maybe like 20 years down the road decides they want to do that, right?
I'm up for that, Bill.
Okay, you've been there before, haven't you, Jim?
Yes, I was there last year.
Okay, cool.
I can help, Bill.
So I think I've pretty much got what I need, unless any more the merrier. I mean, it's just fun hanging around.
Yeah, I can bring my own solar, white solar.
Cool. Maybe we'll have good sky this year. If not, I'll run another thing up the flagpole and we can point the scope in the wrong direction.
Yeah, last year we had very iffy skies, so we had a few little peaks, but not all that much last year. But it was fun.
But I ran one of the moon stuffies up the flagpole so that they could look at stuff through a telescope, so they could still see how a telescope works.
Good for you.
Okay, that's all for me.
Excellent. Oh, looking forward to that. Okay, that's great. And Lauri, did you have a few announcements?
Not much. I was just going to say that the next FDA Star Party is May the 17th, I believe. And then May the 31st is has already been talked about as being the telescope clinic. So if you have got telescopes that don't work, or you don't know how to use them, or something like that, you can bring it up and have a look on that day as well. And the then on the June, I believe, and help me out here, Kirsten. I believe it's the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th of June that we are having the documentary is being put out. Is that correct?
Can't say 100%, Lauri. I don't want to say anything erroneous, so I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm not
okay,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
It's around in there, and people will be able to be able to come up, and we'll have a special day, a special night for the beginning of showing that. So that will be really kind of a fun time. So also looking at because this is our 10th anniversary of the Friends of the Dominion Astrophysical Observatory Society. This year, then there will be also, I believe a little bit later in the summer, there'll be a 10th anniversary celebration as well. So yeah, we're all just moving along. Oh, thanks everybody for helping out. Thank you for coming up on so many of you coming up on Saturday night and helping out. It was a cold night to be outside for too long, but thanks to those people who did that and for everybody that came up. It was really great. Thank you.
Lauri, a question. On the 31st with the telescope clinic, is that, I haven't been to a telescope clinic before, so is that the entire event? There are no tours, no speaker, no...
There
Oh, no,
are
everything.
there are speakers for the telescope clinic specifically. So I'm going to go over different types of telescopes with the optics and such. And Kirsten, if you're still up to it, you can give us your journey of getting scopes and different things like that. And maybe, I don't know, Jill is here tonight. Maybe Jill and Brenda will reprise their binocular journey.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a regular star party,
She said
Margie,
yes.
with
She said
everything
yes.
else, but the presentations will be telescope focused. And then out on the deck and in the lobby, there will be people who will be helping anybody who brings up a telescope, and we'll make it more telescope focused. Is Brock online tonight here?
I don't know if he is or
Didn't
not.
see Brock, because maybe by that time,
Oh yeah, Brock's here.
also,
Brock's here.
Brock, will the 16-inch be well in there to be able to be used as well?
I won't be ready by then. We probably
Okay.
won't have time with we hopefully we'll have the parts by then. That's kind of what I'm crossing my fingers. So
But we're still looking through it anyway, so
we're
that's
still
great.
using it, and
Right,
it's
yeah,
better than
for
it
sure.
was
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for all your work on that. It's going to be amazing when everything is all tickety-boo. Thanks you.
Okay, that's great. And the only other thing I just want to mention is just thanking Reg and David for calling that observers night last night up at the VCO when we had a number of us that were up there, and we got to see Mars and the beehive. And there's a beautiful, beautiful picture of that was taken. And David, I think you took that.
Yeah, it's up on Zenfolio. It was there's obviously some mistakes in it. Not that I admit making mistakes, but it still kind of worked out. Yeah, just simple 8-second exposures. I wasn't quite polar aligned, but it's nothing that Blur Exterminator can't fix. And for those of you who are imagers, they know what I mean.
Because it was on the other side of the beehive the night before. On Saturday
Yes.
night, it was on the other side because we were seeing that. That was the first time I've ever had Mars with the sun above the horizon in a telescope.
Well, Mars was just under the moon the other night, right? The previous night.
Yeah, I know, but I could, with the widest field that I had, you could get Mars and about a quarter, like in my big scope there, and about a quarter of the beehive. You could see that we were on the edge of the cluster. So it was just on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. It was nice looking at it, and I don't know if Reg wants to chime in, but we were getting some really nice views out of the telescopes in the VCO itself. I think we're using like the TAC and stuff like that. But Reg, do you want to comment on that? It's working pretty nicely right now.
I would just, David just jinxed everything. He just said that everything nicely. But actually, the VCO is back in biz after we lost a computer during a beautiful comet display on October 22nd. It's been a little bit of a journey to get everything working together. And David and I have been up there on our own working. And David looks at me and he says, Reg, everything's working. This is a foreign experience. I'm afraid to jinx it. So it's actually worked 2 nights in a row. And we were up on last Wednesday and on Sunday. And we had it was really nice. We had people doing all sorts of things up there. I want to mention something that we had a person who was up there for the first time. Wade came up to the VCO. And while we were working on all our exotic instruments, Wade silently went off into a corner and he put up this thing called a Sea Star. And he amazed us all with a beautiful shot of M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy. And it just looked terrific. And I was really impressed, but also very angry. It was really bad form for Wade.
He was immediately sent to the corner of the pad.
Yes, he was. But we really hope he brings that equipment up there again because it amazed us and it's really an exciting new development. But there's plenty of great things going on at the VCO. Unfortunately, the nights are getting a little bit shorter, so we'll try and get as many sessions as we can before it gets too bright. So if you've got a moment, please join us at the VCO. It's a lot of fun.
Sonic, do you have a question?
Yeah, no, just a comment. I didn't ask to add this because I wasn't sure if I could post the article, but I can. So Natasha and I were sent this in our feed, and we sent it to Randy, and he was doubtful about it. So I looked into it, but it is published, Randy, in one of the leading journals, a very prestigious science journal, which is the Royal Society Open journal, and out of the UK, I believe. And it's an Italian group that studied trees. Now, I just read, some of you may have read it, Suzanne Simard's book from UBC, how she discovered chemical communication between trees. This demonstrated bioelectric communication between trees, specifically spruce trees, and that they around solar eclipses. But the interesting thing is that why they're saying communication is that they started communicating before the eclipse. So not just during it. So the older trees were telling the younger trees that it was coming. Now, I know it sounds woo-hoo, but actually that's where we are. Anyway, I think that's why Randy was a little skeptical. But actually, the reason it was circulating, including in BBC, which I sent him today, is because it is quite amazing what's coming out around forestry studies, but it's nice it links with astronomy. Anyway, I believe I posted that in the chat. That's the actual peer-reviewed journal article, and hopefully you can access it.
I know the trees around here are just a bunch of gossips.
Yeah, you gotta
They're
watch.
just terrible.
Yeah, so if you're having some secret conversation in the forest, you might watch. Anyway.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Now, Randy, I know we're at 8:33, so I don't know. I know you mentioned sort of 8:30 was cut off, but if you can do an expedited Gaia overview, over to you.
No, I think I'll suggest we have 2 Astro Cafes left this season. Next week, Lauri will be the host. And then the following Monday is Victoria Day. And then on what's the date of that one is the
26th?
26, yeah.
Will be the last one of the year. So there will be time. And so do everybody think of wonderful things to present. We want to get our last dose of your astro photos and reports of observations over the these last ones. And if anybody can talk about events that we're expecting to happen over the summer, that would also be very, very welcome. And we do have to make a point of getting together over the summer, observing at Cattle Point and the VC, the Victoria Centre Observatory. So let's not lose our momentum without having our Astro Cafe. But no, I will hold this talk and give a bit of a longer version than I could do right now.
Okay. No, that's great, Randy. And yeah, thanks for the reminder about the importance of keeping up with our observing sessions, either at the VCO or Cattle Point or Pearson as well with Bill.
Pearson.
Jim, did you have a question? Your hand is up.
I just had something I was going to mention, but everybody else had a lot more interesting stuff. There was a very good article in the April Scientific American about naming stars, how stars are named, and it had a quick rundown on the Weir, the Flamsteed, and various other catalogs and how the names were brought up. I've just posted the link to the article in the chat, so if anybody would like to have a look at it, it's I found it quite an interesting article, actually.
No, that's excellent, Jim. We've done a few of those things at the beginners SIG, but there's some really esoteric naming standards as well, which are really kind of cool, like the comets and stuff like that.
Well, that was actually one of the points they made in the article, was that now we have the multispectral observations. Pretty much every platform uses its own cataloging system, and so the main problem now is finding some way of meshing them all, so that if somebody gives you one set of or one name or one set of coordinates, to mesh it up with something else.
Lauri.
Yes, I was just going to say just about things coming up, is I received the notice for the Saanich Fair today. So we'll be setting ourselves up for the Saanich Fair. So if people are interested in helping out, we always need people all the time, and it's the Labor Day weekend. So if you are not going to be going away somewhere, just put that in your calendar already. That it'll be the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday of the Labor Day weekend for the Saanich Fair.
And Labor Day is the earliest it can be this year, so it's on Labor Day is September the 1st.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, I knew that it was earlier, but that was
So
that
it's
was
the
good.
weekend
Thanks.
after our star party. So our star party is the
Right.
weekend.
So the start
Yeah.
right
And then
on the
it's
24th or something
the
there. Okay.
Which is the when you get going to the tents and caravans or whatever, you guys, we were what was it?
That's the star party.
The star party was at Bright Angel.
Yes.
Until a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Now we're
That
at
was
the in
Saanich.
Saanich at St. Stephen's.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is August 22nd, 23rd.
Okay, good. Okay.
And we'll certainly talk about that.
Okay.
In the next two.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay.
Lynn, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, are we having a gathering at UVic next Wednesday, a week from now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes, we are. The date is May the 14th. Wednesday, May the 14th, and it'll be at the regular time, 7:30. at the Bob Wright Center in the usual room. It's posted on the RASC website, and sorry, I don't want to say the wrong number because I don't have it in front of me. But I believe it's 104. If
Right.
that's is that right, Alec?
You are right.
104.
Okay, 104. Yeah. So in the Bob Wright Center, and the guest speaker is a graduate student, Bryn Lonsborough, and Bryn is going to be talking about galaxies and galaxy formation, and that will be our final monthly meeting, actually, of this I guess of May, of the spring and summer, and then we'll take the break. And Kevin Birtles, I will not actually be present at the May 14th meeting, but Kevin Birtles will be facilitating that with our usual speakers internally, David and Chris, and also with our guest speaker. And then we will be back. We will be back for monthly meetings starting in September. Yeah. So thank you for raising that.
Thank you for all the organizing of it, Kirsten. Kirsten, it hasn't been that easy this year, and so well done.
No, it's been a pleasure. They've been a wonderful series of events. It's been really great. So yeah, looking forward to next year. Anything else from anyone? All right. Well, I guess with that, I guess we're good to end. Yeah.
We'll see you all next week. Be ready, Randy, because you're going to be number one on next week.
Hoo-ha!
Okay. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Right.